DC Universe Online in 2024. There's been a lot of changes made to DC Universe Online over the years. We've had new layers, the new character creation, we have the House of Legends, the ally system, the new emote system, especially with the iconic emotes, and more. Let's talk about it. Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. A question that often comes back is it worth it to play DC Universe Online in 2024? The short answer is yes, absolutely. Now let us take a look at the long answer. Recently we've seen some people come back to playing DC Universe Online after taking a long break, but with all the changes there's been with DC Universe Online, they feel a bit kinda lost a little bit. But also we have new players that starts playing the game all the time, so it seemed like a good idea to make a video about DC Universe Online in 2024. Also, I've seen that people make such videos in the past. Like at some point there was someone like the Lazy Peon who made a video about DC Universe Online, and sadly our friend Darkman had to make a video to try to correct a lot of the mistakes that the Lazy Peon made in his video. And the reason for that is that despite having a huge YouTube channel and a big audience, the Lazy Peon did not seem to have played DC Universe Online all that much, so a lot of the information he had was pretty much second-hand information, and sadly, a lot of that second-hand information was not very accurate. One of the reasons for that is that there is a whole bunch of YouTube channels about DC Universe Online, but sadly a lot of those YouTube channels seems to be pretty much hating DC Universe Online, and sadly sometimes some of the information they give is not exactly accurate. So someone like the Lazy Peon who maybe do not know any better will take those videos at face value and then repeat that information that is not exactly accurate. It's sad, but it happens. Although full disclosure, I have been playing DC Universe Online for 12 years. I made over 3,000 videos about DC Universe Online, and obviously I love this game. I would not have done that if I didn't love this game. So yes, this video will be from the point of view of someone who loves DC Universe Online, so you have been warned. I have played DC Universe Online 22,500 hours on PlayStation 5 alone, and I have played the game on PC and on the PC test server as well. So what you will get will be first-hand information, except maybe for one thing. It has been a long time since I have been a free-to-play player. So when it comes to playing DC Universe Online from the point of view of a free-to-play player, I will have to trust the information that some of the people I know gave me about DC Universe Online. So let's get this party started. There are 3 tiers of players playing DC Universe Online. There are free-to-play players, there are premium players, and there are legendary players. Free-to-play players have only access to 2 characters, they have limited bank space, they have limited inventory, and they have limited access to the powers. And they also have limited access to their game cache. But even free-to-play players have access to all the missions. And way back when, you had to purchase the new DLCs in order to be able to gain access to the new missions. But ever since we got the House of Legends, that is no longer the case. Now the DLCs are free, so free-to-play players have access to all the DLCs now for free. Then as soon as you spend $5 playing DC Universe Online, you become a premium player. As a premium player, you have access to 6 character slots, so you can create 6 characters, and you will have more inventory and more bank slots, and you will have access to all of your cash. And then the third tier is legendary players. As a legendary player, obviously you have access to all your cash, and every month you get 150 replay badges, you get 500 loyalty points. If you play on PC, you get 500 station cash. You get 10% off from the marketplace, you get access to all the powers, you get extra inventory, and you have access to 16 characters, so you can create up to 16 characters. And also you have access to all the daily rewards. If you look at the daily rewards, there's 2 tiers. There's the free tiers on top, and there's the membership on the bottom. So if you are a free-to-play player, you will only get the rewards on top. If you are a subscriber, you will get all the rewards. Sadly, even as a subscriber, you have to log in every day in order to be able to get your rewards. It's not enough to be a subscriber. If you do not log in to get the reward, you won't get the rewards. It's sad, but that's how it is. You would think they would give you the rewards automatically if you are a subscriber, as sadly, even as a subscriber, you have to log in every day. Now, how much does it cost to become a subscriber? I can't really answer that question because it depends where you live. If you live in the US or if you live in Canada, because of the exchange rate, the price will be quite different. And even worse if you live somewhere like Brazil. Also, if you subscribe for 1 month, it is a bit more expensive than if you subscribe for a whole year. Also, I mentioned that as a legendary player, you have access to 16 characters, but you can purchase additional characters from the marketplace for $5 each. And you can have a maximum of 36 characters on your account. Now, a question that often comes back, is it worth it to be a subscriber? Personally, I would say yes, because it does give you all the daily rewards, and if you log in for 21 days, it will give you access to the 21-day reward. And this month, we're getting the Tresor Detective Chest Guard. Some months, the rewards are better than others, although don't subscribe only to get the 21-day reward. So subscribe for everything that is included in the daily rewards, not only for the 21-day rewards. And again, it will give you access to 16 characters, to all the powers, and more. Also, recently the character creation has been changed, so you can still create and customize your character at character creation. Although character creation in DC Universe Online is pretty much split into two parts. The first part is obviously as you start playing the game, you do create your character. But then later on, as you play the game, you will gather more and more styles in order to be able to customize the look of your character. So you can create your very own character, and there's quite a few options to customize your character at character creation. But if somehow you don't want to create your own character for whatever reasons, there are a bunch of preset characters you can use. So you can see our friend Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, the Joker, Cersei, Lex Luthor, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Martian Manhunter, Steel, Catwoman, Mr. Freeze, Bane, The Flash, Beast Boy, Deathstroke, Terra, Static, Green Lantern. In this case, they went with John Stewart, Sinestro, Atrocitus, Captain Atom, the Spectre, Firestorm, Amira. So in a nutshell, they tried to simplify the character creation with the new character creation system. Although full disclosure, there's one thing that is a bit annoying. When you want to select the colors of your character, you now have to select some swatches for the colors of your character. So sadly it will be a bit, let's say, challenging to get exactly the colors you want with your character, but don't worry, that is only during character creation. Once you actually get in the game, you will be able to adjust your color much better than that. So don't worry too much about colors at character creation. Once you get in the game, you will be able to customize the colors of your character here, and also you will have access to the sliders here to be able to get exactly the color you want with your character. And then you can go to each pieces of the style, and then there's 3 colors that you can select for your style if you want to. And also this is also where you can apply materials once you start getting materials for your character. So don't worry too much about the colors of your character at character creation. Once you get in the game, it will be much easier to customize the colors of your character and the look of your character. And again, as I mentioned, creating your character is done in 2 steps. The first step is obviously at the start of the game at character creation, but then as you play the game, you will gather more and more styles in order to be able to customize the look of your character. And eventually you will get a lot of styles in order to be able to customize the look of your character. So at character creation, you will be able to select one of the many preset characters, or you will be able to customize your character if you want to. So you will be able to customize if you want a male or a female. In this case, let's stick to male. You will be able to choose the build of your character, so we have large, spry, or athletic. And also there's 3 heights you can choose from. Let's go for the medium one. You will be able to choose a villain or hero. You should probably know there's a lot more heroes and villains in this universe online. So if you want to be on the server that has the most population, usually that's the hero server. You have diverse personalities you can choose for your character: powerful, serious, primal, flirty, comical. Let's go for serious. There's 3 origins for heroes and 3 origins for villains. So for hero, it's Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. For evil villains, the mentors are Cersei, the Joker, and Lex Luthor. For the mentors, don't worry too much about the mentors. From level 1 to level 30, you will have some different missions depending on which mentor you selected, but after level 30, It literally doesn't matter which mentor you selected. So just select the mentor you think is coolest or the mentor that might be your favorite character, because ultimately it doesn't really matter. And then you will be able to choose your power. There are 15 powers total, so for gadgets, sorcery, mental, nature, fire, and ice, these are free to play powers. So even if you play as a free to play player, you will have access to those powers, but afterwards, munition, electricity, quantum, earth, celestial, light, rage, water, and atomic. And sadly, in order to be able to get those powers, you will have to either purchase the powers or you will have to be a legendary player. In addition to choosing your power, you have to choose a weapon. Here we have brawling, dual pistols, the bow, hand blast, martial arts, rifle, one-handed, two-handed, dual wield, the staff, and the shield. All the weapons are available to free-to-play player, with the exception of the shield. Again, for the shield, either you have to purchase the weapon, or you have to be a legendary player in order to be able to use the shield. And for the movement, there's technically 4 movement, although in reality, there's really only 3. Basically, you have a flight, acrobatic, and super speed. But you also have a skimming, which is a variation on flight. It's pretty much the same as flight, but you fly in a different way than flying. All the movements can be used by free-to-play players, with the exception of skimming. Again, for skimming, you have to purchase the skimming movement, or you have to be a legendary player. For someone who plays DC Universe Online for the first time, I would strongly suggest to go with flight. There's a few reasons for that. Flying around Gotham and Metropolis, or flying through various maps, is much smoother when you use flight. Also, sometimes there will be objectives in hard to reach places. Much easier to fly up a building to go grab a collection or a briefing than to use your super speed to climb the building. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. So once you pretty much customize your character, then you can customize the appearance of your character. You can customize the appearance of the costume. We have quite a good selection of costumes. I'm not going to show them all, but we do have quite a nice selection of costumes. So you should be able to create a pretty good looking character straight at character creation. But again, as you play the game, you will gather more and more styles to customize the look of your character. And once you're pretty much happy with the look of your character, then you can select a name for your character. And sadly, there are characters that you cannot use, like Batman, Superman, and those names sadly are not available. Normally the game will let you know, it will tell you that the name is invalid. Or it will also tell you if the name is already taken. And sadly, there's a lot of characters in DC Universe Online right now, so sometimes finding a good name can be a bit challenging. And once you do have a name you like, then you just press play. If you want to have more detailed information about the character creation system, I did make a video about it. I will put a link to that video in the description down below. So early on, you can decide to skip the tutorial. If it's your first character, I would strongly suggest don't do that. You could decide to skip to level 25, it'll cost you 10 bucks if you do that. Or you could try to skip to combat rating 368. Sadly, that will cost you 50 bucks if you do that. So you start in the tutorial with your friend Superman. If you play as an evil villain, you start with Lex Luthor. So when you start in the Brainiac ship. So this is pretty much a tutorial that will show you the very basics of the game. Then afterwards, you will have the second part of the game, where you will level up your character from level 1 to level 30. And once you reach level 30 is the maximum level you can gain in DC Universe Online. But then afterwards, you no longer gain level, what you actually gain is combat rating. So from level 1 to level 30, you will gain experience, and that experience will allow you to go up in level. And once you reach level 30, you will no longer gain experience. What happens then is that you have to find better gear for your character. So as you do improve the quality of your gear, your character will go up in combat rating. And as you go up in combat rating, you will gain access to more and more missions in this Universe Online. Right now, the maximum combat rating is 430. So as your combat rating increases, like once you reach level 30, you will have access to all the missions in Tier 1. Then once you reach combat rating 60, you will gain access to the missions that are Tier 2. Combat rating 100 will give you access to Tier 3. 150 to Tier 4, 210 to Tier 5, and 280 will give you access to Tier 6. And the maximum combat rating you can gain right now is 430. There's also a whole bunch of open worlds you can get access to, like Central City, Metropolis Battle Zone, Gotham Under Siege, Earth 3 Gotham, Titans Island, Atlantis, Thanagar, Flashpoint Gotham City, and more. So as your combat rating goes up, you will gain access to more and more missions, and you will gain access to more and more open worlds. When DC Universe Online first started, the tagline for the game was, "The next legend is you." So they really wanted people to create their own characters. Like Sandwalker, or Multi-Master, or the Multiverse. So way back when, if you wanted to recreate the Batman, or Superman, or the Flash, for a long time this was pretty much as close to recreating the Flash as you could in this Universe Online. Heck, for a long time, just getting a green aura was impossible, and don't even think about getting a Green Lantern emblem. For a long time, the only Green Lantern emblem we had was the Green Lantern hoodie. But then at some point, a miracle happened. We finally were able to get a green aura, and also a Green Lantern emblem. And now we have pretty much an embarrassment of riches in getting green auras, and we even got the Green Lantern accessory, and more.
My will won't be broken.
And then at some point, we got the Batman cowl, the Batman emblem, and more. And we quickly had an embarrassment of riches to recreate the Batman. And not just the Batman, Batman Beyond, Flashpoint Batman, or even the classic Batman. The same with the Flash, the same with Wonder Woman, and heck, even villains like Darkseid, like Doomsday, and the evil Joker. And sadly, in some cases, we do have a Superman emblem in the game. And sadly, it was available only for a limited amount of time. Now, there are other emblems we can use to recreate our friend Superman. It's not quite the same as using the classic emblem, but it's still close enough. And you can recreate a pretty good version of Superman 1 million or Superman Prime. So you have a lot of freedom to create your own character, or now you have options to be able to create iconic characters if you want to. The choice is yours. So once you've created your character and completed the tutorial, you will start in one of the police stations if you are a hero character, or you will begin in the villain safe house if you play as an evil villain. And from there, you will have access to Gotham City or to Metropolis. So if you ever wanted to be able to explore Gotham or Metropolis, now you can. If you like to explore, you will have a pretty big open world to explore with your character. Early on, you will have missions in your journal, but also as you explore the game, as you explore the map, you will find various quest givers across the map. One very cool thing is sometimes just flying around Gotham or Metropolis and exploring the city. Flying around the city can be relaxing and very smooth, and it's one of the few things you can do in DC Universe Online that you cannot really do in most games. Yeah, there are a couple of games where you can actually fly, but in those games, flying is nowhere near as smooth as it is in DC Universe Online. I've tried Anthem, I've tried Marvel Avengers, and flying in those games was very clunky by comparison. I have to warn you though, once you get used to flying in DC Universe Online, it's kinda hard to go back. It's kinda hard to go back to play games where you just cannot fly. And you will be able to visit iconic locations like Ace Chemicals, Wayne Tech, Arkham Asylum, and more. So early on you will have access to Gotham and Metropolis, but eventually you will be able to use the teleporter to go to the House of Legends. The House of Legends was added about 2 years ago. It is a place that everyone has access to. Whether you're a hero or a villain, everyone has access to the House of Legends. As your character goes up in combat rating, if you're not sure what gear to purchase for your character next, come see your friend Tempest Reginaut over here. So once you reach level 30, you will have some tier 1 gear to purchase, and as you go up in combat rating, you will be able to purchase more and more gear from this vendor. Also, you will have various vendors in the House of Legends. You will have the Dr. Fit vendor over here. You will get a bunch of currency from the daily rewards, and this is where you can spend that currency. So there's a whole bunch of styles and a whole bunch of supplies you can purchase from this character. There's also John Constantine, where you will be able to purchase artifacts.
Listen, you don't want to be my mate.
Or you will be able to purchase the various components you need to upgrade your artifacts. You will also have access to a crafting station in the House of Legends. There's the Cyborg vendor for the allies. We'll take a look at the allies in just a minute. There is a Cheetah vendor where you can buy a whole bunch of base items. She does have various base items, and she also has a whole bunch of base items that comes from the various DLCs. There's also a training room where you can test out your powers against a whole bunch of training dummies or sparring targets. And this is where you will also have access to the various seasonals, whether it's the Halloween seasonal, the Valentine seasonal. Like right now, we do have access to the anniversary event. And there is the Archive of Victory Wing. There will be a whole bunch of vendors selling you styles. So here you have the hero vendors. Now they're selling you the styles that normally you can purchase in the Watchtower if you play as a hero character. But everyone can purchase those styles, even evil villains. And here you have the villain vendors that will sell you the styles that you can purchase as a villain in the Hall of Doom. Although again, everyone can purchase style from those villains. It's just that way back when, heroes had access to the Watchtower, and only heroes could purchase the styles from the Watchtower. Villains had access to the Hall of Doom, and only villains could purchase the styles from the Hall of Doom. But now we have those vendors in the House of Legends that everyone can purchase from. So if there is a villain style that you wanted to have with your hero character, now you can purchase it from those vendors. And there's also Lady Shiva that sell you the styles from the PvP gear. We'll talk about PvP a little bit later. But now if for some reason you do not want to play PvP for whatever reasons, you can purchase the PvP styles from this vendor, but it will cost you 100 source marks for each pieces of the style. And you have rare style vendors that sell you styles that normally drop in various missions. Sadly, sometimes getting those styles as rare drops is pretty challenging. So if somehow you play those missions and you do not manage to get those styles as a drop, you can come see this vendor over here and you can purchase the styles for 70 source marks for each pieces of the style. And there's our friend Gentleman Ghost here. Gentleman Ghost will sell you a whole bunch of skins, and basically the skins you have at character creation. Once you've created your character, sadly you no longer have access to your character creation. But if there is a skin from character creation that you want to have for your character, you can come and see your friend Gentleman Ghost, and you can purchase that skin from him. The same also for the hairstyles, and also the same for the various styles at character creation. Although Gentleman Ghost doesn't have all the styles, he has the newer styles that have been added to the character creation, but there are some older styles that you will have to get from the Watchtower or from the Hall of Doom. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. So now we have the House of Legends that everyone has access to. Everyone can come to the House of Legends. But we still have access to the Watchtower. As you can see, there's still people coming to the Watchtower to duel for some reason. And we still have the vendors we had before, like here you can see we have John Constantine. Here we have the Phase Shifter if you want to go to the PvP open world. But also I showed you Gentleman Ghost where you can go to get some of the styles you get at character creation. But if you want to have the older styles that you could get from character creation, you have to go at the very bottom of the Watchtower. So here you will see a whole bunch of vendors, and you can get some of the older styles from character creation from those vendors. And here you can also find some of the vendors in the various open world, like here you can find the Wonderverse vendor, the Atlantis vendor, the Earth 3 vendor, the Flashpoint vendor, and more. So you do not have those vendors in the House of Legends, but you do have those vendors in the various open worlds. But here it does give you a quick, easy access to most of those vendors. So the House of Legends did make the Watchtower and the Hall of Doom a little bit redundant, but there are still a few things you can only get from the Watchtower or from the Hall of Doom. So until they add everything to the House of Legends, they pretty much have to keep the Watchtower and the Hall of Doom, at least for now. So you still have the vendors in the Watchtower, but I showed you the various hero vendors in the House of Legends that pretty much sell the same styles that those vendors are selling. Also, there is a PvP vendor in each wing of the Watchtower or the Hall of Doom, but you also have the PvP vendors here, right next to the big statues. I will talk about PvP a little bit later. So in the Hall of Doom, you will find the very same vendor that you find at the very bottom of the Watchtower, but these vendors are pretty much in the middle of the Hall of Doom. So again, if there's some styles you do not get from character creation for whatever reasons, some emblems, you can get those styles here in the Hall of Doom. And also you have the various vendors like from the 31st century map, from the Earth 3 map, from Thanagar, and more. And you have 3 wings in the Hall of Doom with various vendors. But again, I did show you the vendors in the House of Legends. So you will be able to purchase those styles in the House of Legends. And also only evil villains have access to the Hall of Doom. So if you are a hero player and you want to have, let's say, the style that our friend Metallo is selling, you will be able to purchase it from the House of Legends. And of course, there's also the PvP vendors in the Hall of Doom. So way back when, we had the Watchtower for heroes with a whole bunch of vendors where heroes could purchase their gear. And we had the Hall of Doom where evil villains had vendors to purchase their gear. But now we have the House of Legends for everyone. A question I see sometimes is, will they ever remove the Watchtower or the Hall of Doom? At this point, they cannot really remove them because we do not have everything in the House of Legends, at least not just yet. But I guess we could see someday a Crisis on Infinite Earth type of DLC that would happen, that would destroy the Watchtower and the Hall of Doom for some reason. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Although I'm not sure why they would want to remove the Watchtower and the Hall of Doom, unless maybe they need to free up some memory space or something like that. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see for that. So we saw that we have access to Gotham and Metropolis as open world maps, but we do have access to other open world maps, although not as big as Gotham and Metropolis. So we have access to Central City. Again, sadly it is much smaller than Gotham or Metropolis. We have access to Thanagar, Titan's Island, and more. We also have alternate versions of Gotham City and alternate versions of Metropolis. So if you are a player that just came back after a long break, you will have a lot of new content to explore. And if you are a new player, as a new player, you will have a lot of content that you will be able to explore. Also, DC Universe Online is many games rolled into one game. Already, just with the PvE aspect of the game, you have the game from level 1 to level 30, where you level up your character using experience points. But then after level 30, it becomes an entirely new game, where actually what is important is the combat rating of your character, and the way to improve the combat rating of your character is to get better gear for your character. But there's also a PvP section of DC Universe Online. Although for quite some time, DC Universe Online has been focused mainly on the PvE section of the game. For those who do not know, PvE means player versus environment. So basically players versus NPCs, as opposed to the PvP section, which is player versus player. Sadly, at some point, DC Universe Online decided not to focus so much on PvP anymore, although you can still play PvP. You could easily play 1 versus 1 matches or 2 versus 2 matches. Also, you saw a bit earlier, there are still people doing duels in the Watchtower or in various other places in DC Universe Online, but there's not as much PvP as there used to be. And sadly, when PvP was at its maximum, there was only roughly 20% of the player base that would play PvP. And these numbers came to us from Spittle, the creative director of DC Universe Online, way back when. And since then, there seems to be even less people playing PvP nowadays. But you can still play easily 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2 matches. Sadly, when it comes to time to play 4 versus 4 or 8 versus 8, it gets a bit more complicated. Especially for 8 versus 8. Sadly, the only way really you can play 8 versus 8 is to organize groups. So you organize a group of 8 players versus another group of 8 players, and then you could play 8 versus 8. So it requires a bit more organization, and requires finding a group of dedicated player who wants to play PvP. It can be done, but it's a bit more of a headache than it used to be. Also, there's a section of PvP called PvP Legends, where again you play 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, all the way up to 8 versus 8. But in this case, you do not play with your character, you actually play with legend characters. So there's a whole selection of characters that you can purchase. And when you start the game, you get the Robin Legend character if you are a hero player, and you get the Harley Quinn character if you play an evil villain character. For other legend characters, you have to purchase them either from the marketplace, or you have to purchase them from a future Lex Luthor in the House of Legends. So depending on which legend you want to purchase, the price will be different. So you can purchase legends from our friend Lex Luthor, or you can purchase legends from the marketplace. I could have sworn the legends were a bit more expensive than that. I guess they did lower the prices. Also, one of the main difference is that if you purchase a legend from the marketplace, you can redeem the legend character for every single characters on your account. As opposed to if you purchase them from Lex Luthor using Marks of Legends, sadly you only purchase them for one character. So using Marks of Legends, you will have to purchase the legend characters for every single characters in your account, or actually every single characters you want to use the legend characters with. And if we go to the on duty menu, so if we look in custom play, you will see Legends Bloodhaven. So every week we do get 1 or 2 legend maps where we can play with our legend characters. Once in a while we do have access to all the maps, but it's only like once or twice a year. Sadly, they pretty much gave up on Legends at some point. Way back when at some point, they had announced a Gorilla Grodd legend that they were supposed to release, and sadly Grodd was never released. And that's pretty much the last we heard of it. So at this point it is pretty clear that they've pretty much given up on adding more Legend content. They never said that they were giving up on Legends, but we haven't had any new Legend content in years and years. So at this point it's pretty obvious that we are not going to get any more Legend characters or any more Legend maps. But we can still play with our Legend characters in Legend matches or in the Legends PvE map. And for PvP, sadly, it's pretty much the same thing. We can still play PvP, but they've pretty much given up on PvP. We didn't get any new PvP content in a long time. The last time we had any PvP gear, it was the Deadshot set of gear, and that was years and years ago by now. So at this point, it's pretty clear that they have given up on PvP. They decided to focus exclusively on PvE, but they never officially said that they were done with PvP. But who knows, maybe in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, maybe they could decide to work on PvP again. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see for that. Now with DC Universe Online, you never know. We have learned a long time never to say never, because you never know what could happen. Like way back when, just getting a green aura for a Green Lantern character was a big no-no, and eventually we did get it. Getting Green Lantern emblems, that was a big no-no, and we did get those emblems. Getting a Batman call, that was out of the question, and we did get the Batman call. We actually got many Batman call at this point. The same for the Superman emblem. At some point, there was no way we would ever get a Superman emblem, and we got 2 of them. Yes, sadly, they were only available for a limited amount of time, but we did get those emblems anyway. So who knows, maybe at some point they will work on PvP again. Maybe at some point they will work on Legends again. We don't know at this point. All we can really do is wait and see what actually happens. But if you want to play DC Universe Online specifically for Legend matches and specifically for PvP, it's better that you know that right now there is no new content added to Legends and to PvP. And let us talk a bit about combat. In DC Universe Online, you have quite a few options, and combat is pretty fast paced. So you can choose to use powers to do combat. You can decide to use your weapons, or you can decide to do a little bit of both. So depending on what you decide, you will build your character accordingly. So if you want to use your weapon, you'll choose the Weapon Expert Focus. If you want to do a bit of both, a bit of weapon damage, or use your powers, you're going to go hybrid. Personally, I do have a tendency to go superpowers. I love using powers in DC Universe Online, and I do have a tendency to spam powers a little bit too much. Although I like to use End Blasters as a weapon, but you can use weapons in a lot of other games. But it's not in every game where you can be a superhero that uses your superpowers to fight evil enemies. especially superpowers like heat vision, like your friend Superman. Also, there are various things that can help you in combat. There's backups that could help you in combat. Here you can see I have some Red Lantern backups. There's a various pets that you can summon in combat. Here you can see my mother box. And also you have orbital strikes that you can use in combat. And again, the combat in DC Universe Online is pretty much fast-paced. And not that long ago, they've added the allies to help you in combat.
The Reaper already tried and failed.
So if you like action fast-paced combat, this will be for you. And there are 4 roles in DC Universe Online. Obviously there's DPS, there's controller. As a controller, you will give power back to the group, you will buff your group, you will debuff enemies, you will also do some crowd control, but ideally you want to let the tank do the crowd control. Basically, if the controller does crowd control, it will make it harder for the tank to do his crowd control when he needs to do it. And as we just mentioned, there's a tank role. So obviously the tank will try to pull enemies towards him. The tank normally can resist a lot of damage, although in the case of the fire tank, he can heal himself quite a lot as well. So the tank will try to keep the enemies focused on him so that they don't start jumping on the healer or the controller and starts killing the group. And there's the healer who will quite simply try to heal and keep the group alive. It may seem self-evident, but there's a lot of healers who do struggle to heal quite a bit. One of the challenges of DC Universe Online is getting players to actually play their roles. Very often when someone decides to play the healer, nobody really wants to play a healer most of the time, so they'll sacrifice themselves to be the healer of the group. But sadly when that happens, too often you end up with a healer that tries to do a lot of damage as well. So the healer very often, instead of focusing on healing the group, he will heal the group a little bit, but then most of his powers, he will try to do damage with most of his powers, as opposed to using multiple healing abilities to keep the group alive. So now that we mentioned the 4 roles in DC Universe Online, let's take a look at the artifacts. So at some point DC Universe Online decided to add an artifact system, so everyone can have 3 artifacts. Well, you can have more than that, but you can only use 3 artifacts at a time. Ideally, if you play as a controller, you will want to have controller artifacts. If you play as a tank, you will want to have tank artifacts, and so on. But as I mentioned, often when people play a role, they still try to DPS at the same time. So very often you'll see sometimes controllers that will use DPS artifacts. It happens. Usually when we do get a new DLC, we do get a new artifact. But if someone you want to purchase artifacts, come and see your friend John Constantine. Although before you can actually interact with Constantine, there will be a mission that you have to play first. You have to play the artifact mission first. So you will see a portal here that will bring you to play one mission. And once you complete that mission, then you will have access to John Constantine. So Constantine will sell you the catalyst you need to be able to upgrade your artifacts. Basically, you need nth metal in order to be able to upgrade your artifacts. And then you have to use catalyst to be able to break through the various ranks with your artifacts. So you'll take your artifacts from rank 0 to rank 200. And every 20 rank, you have to break through. And in order to break through, you have to use some catalyst. And here you can see the artifacts I did not purchase from Constantine just yet. And if you're not sure, if you scroll through the various tabs, so here you can see the tab for the catalyst. You can see the tabs for the artifacts for any role. So you can see the artifacts for DPS, the artifacts for controller, healer, and tank. There's actually more artifacts than that, but once you already own an artifact, you're not going to see it on Constantine again. And then there's the WolfPack artifacts. Basically, they've added some artifacts that if you do have an artifact that is ranked 200, you can decide to purchase a WolfPack token from the marketplace, which sadly costs $100. So for $100, you can decide to turn your artifact into a WolfPack artifact, and then you can redeem that artifact for every single characters in your account. I didn't make a video about that. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below. There's an artifact section in the marketplace, so you can decide to purchase some nth metal, some catalyst, and more from the marketplace in order to be able to upgrade your artifacts. Or you could simply play the game and gather Nth Metal. And you could purchase Catalyst from our friend Constantine using source marks. Obviously, it will be a bit slower if you do that than if you just purchase what you need from the marketplace. And when it comes to your artifacts, I have to mention that once in a while we do get a 2 times artifact experience. There would be times when we would use our Nth Metal, we would get double the experience in order to be able to upgrade our artifacts. And sadly at this point, it's been quite a while since we had a 2 times artifact XP. So ideally I would say save up your Nth Metal, and next time that we do have a 2 times artifact XP, then use your Nth Metal to be able to maximize the amount of XP you'll get. But again, it's been a while since we had a 2 times artifact XP, but sadly we do not know when we will get the next 2 times artifact XP. So the choice is yours. Another thing that was added at some point was the ally system. Basically, they've added allies that you can purchase from the marketplace or that you can purchase from the cyborg vendor. If you purchase the allies from the marketplace, you can redeem them for every single characters in your account. But if you purchase the allies from cyborg, you have to purchase the allies for every single characters in your account. And also, same as the artifacts, you will have to upgrade your allies using ally favor. And then in order to be able to gain access to the next rank, you will have to break through using alliances. You could purchase the alliances you need from Cyborg, but you can also purchase the alliances from the marketplace. For the allies, if you want to purchase a rare ally, it'll cost you $5. Again, if you purchase it from the marketplace, then you can redeem it for every single characters on your account. But sadly, for the legendary allies, it'll cost you $25. Again, you get 10% off if you are a subscriber. And again, if you do purchase the ally for $25, you can redeem it for every single characters on your account. Sadly, after that, you still have to upgrade it for every single characters. If you have a lot of alternate characters, it is convenient to be able to redeem it for your alternate characters. Sadly, upgrading it for your alternate characters, it can be a bit challenging. Basically, when they decided to give the DLC for free, they added the ally system, most likely to make up for the loss of revenue from the DLC. So we no longer needed to purchase the DLCs, but we had to start purchasing the allies from the marketplace. At first, we could only purchase the legendary allies from the marketplace, but eventually they added all the allies to be purchased from our friend Cyborg. Actually, that's not entirely accurate, not all the allies. There are allies like the Zod ally that you can get only from Time Capsule. At the end of the day, if you take a look at our friend Cyborg and you do not see the ally you're looking for, odds are you get those allies from a Time Capsule. Now you have 3 types of allies. There's the rare allies that are 5-star allies. There's the epic allies that are 8-star allies. And there is the legendary allies that are 10-star allies. So you have to level up your allies using ally favor and using the various alliances. And you can equip 3 allies that will benefit you. 1 that you can use in combat, and 2 that will allow you to benefit from their passive abilities. Let us summon the Death Metal Batman.
I'm always ready. Death is just part of life. Get over it. My heart beats only for metal.
And here you can see all the allies we have so far. So the Batman Who Laughs. We do have a Bruce Wayne ally, but that was an April's Fool joke. I don't really use it. And you just saw the Death Metal Batman. We have the evil Professor Zoom, General Zod, the Flashpoint Batman, Superman, Batman, Cyborg, the House of Legend bot, the Calculator bot. We have Nubia. We have Crypto, Oracle bot, Tickle, the Flash, Emperor Aquaman, Black Adam, Blue Beetle, Bombshell Harley Quinn, Future Lex Luthor, Shazam, Queen Diana, Poison Ivy, Static, and Zatanna. The last ally we got was Zatanna, and that was like 4 months ago. So I have no idea when we will get the next ally. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. An ally that's highly requested is a Green Lantern. Any Green Lantern, but people want at least one Green Lantern ally for their characters. So if you were wondering, how does DC Universe Online make money if everyone has access to the DLCs for free? A free-to-play player can play the whole game for free. How can DC Universe Online make money? That is one way. Selling allies is one way that they're monetizing the game. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of bundles, there's powers, there's various upgrades you can purchase, there's a whole bunch of supplies you can purchase. We already mentioned the allies, the artifacts. They've added the emotes and not that long ago. That is another thing that they are trying to monetize. They've updated the emote system some time ago. Now they've added an emote wheel that you can use to quickly access the various emotes. I love the con job ritual. So they've been adding new emotes recently. And also, not too long ago, they've added a whole bunch of iconic emotes. Some of the emotes, like the power level up, come from the marketplace. The old bat signal is so cute. Or the speedster emote is pretty cool as well. If you search for emote on the broker, you can find those emotes easily enough. There are some styles that they are offering on the marketplace, for example the Batman call, the Flash call. There's some ores and materials that you can get from the marketplace. There are some base items and some layers that you can purchase from the marketplace. I already mentioned the legend characters previously. But one of the ways that they're making money with DC Universe Online is by selling stabilizers in order to be able to open Time Capsule. One of the ways that they've been monetizing the game for quite some time now is by adding Time Capsule. Basically, there's Time Capsule that drop in the game roughly every 20 minutes of gameplay, and you have to use stabilizers to open those Time Capsule, and you will get various rewards from those Time Capsule. You can get some stabilizer for free playing the game, but if you want to be able to open a whole bunch of Time Capsule, you pretty much have to purchase stabilizers from the marketplace. Although right now we do have the Resurgence Mega Capsule. It's similar to the Time Capsule, but basically it's a Mega Capsule that drops 9 Time Capsule, and it requires 7 stabilizers to unlock. And this is where the new iconic emotes come from, like the Speedster emote, the Batman, the Bat Signal emote, and more. If I was to take a guess, I would say that this Mega Capsule is probably selling really well, because we should have had a new Time Capsule by now, and we still have the Resurgence Mega Capsule. So odds are the Mega Capsule is selling well. It's something that you'll notice with DC Universe Online. When something doesn't sell, they stop doing it. Like legend characters did not sell, they stopped doing it. They could not monetize PvP, so they stopped doing it. But Time Capsules sold well, so they keep on making new and new Time Capsules. And the same with the Mega Capsules. Heck, they even brought back the Booster Bundle for a limited time. Again, my guess is it probably sold really well for them to bring it back. So seeing how the DLCs are now completely free for everyone, if you were wondering how they're monetizing the game, that is how. And one last thing we could take a look at is the layers. At this point, we have 4 different sizes of layers. So we have the smaller layers like this one. This is pretty much the same size as the dive. There's also the lava layer that is a small layer. But in this case, you actually get the layer from the Birds of Prey DLC. You have to get the layer from the Bird of Prey Lake Score Tower. For the space layer, it is a free gift that we get in November for the Extra Life event. So sadly, if you don't have the layer just yet, you're gonna have to wait until next November to be able to get it as a free gift. And then we have the medium-sized layers, which is most of the layer are pretty much this size. So you have a little room over here on top. You have a little basement over here. So most of the layers are pretty much made like this one. But as you can see, I have used the bookshelves to create some extra walls into this layer. And there's the Atlantis layer and the Brainiac layer that are similar to the medium-sized layer. But again, depending on how you decorate it, you can make it look a little bit different. So overall, it's pretty much the same. You have the same basement, you have the same floor on top over here. But there is one big difference. You'll see here there is a tunnel here that takes you to a huge room. So the Brainiac layer and the Atlantis layer have a huge room. I wish we could have this huge room with the cave layer or the tech layer. Sadly, it's not an option just yet. And there is the Manor lair. It is pretty similar to the House of Legends lair, although the ceilings are a bit higher, and there's a few subtle differences, but overall it is a very similar lair to the House of Legends lair. Although in this case here, you do have, in the back of the manor, you do have a small bat cave if you want to. Overall, it's a pretty cool looking lair. So here you can see the House of Legend lair, which has a similar floor plan to the Manor lair. And of course, in your lairs, you can have armories. You can have 16 armories total. You can decide to have all those armories in one lair, or you can split them up amongst all your lair. But sadly, the maximum amount of armories you can have is 16. Doesn't really matter because you can only really equip 4 armories. So if you wonder how people are able to switch their characters like this, it's because they're using armories. You do get 1 armory for free as you level up your character. Sadly, if you want to have any extra armories, you have to buy them from the marketplace. So there you go guys, so this is pretty much DC Universe Online in 2024 in a nutshell. Yeah, there was a lot to cover, and it's quite possible that I did not cover everything, or I did not cover everything in huge details. But I've made over 3,000 videos about DC Universe Online at this point, so if you want to know more about armories, or if you want to know more about the lairs, or if you want to know more about the ally system, or about the time capsule, just search my videos. Odds are I already made a video about it. I will put very important link in the description down below if you want to know more about DC Universe Online. So this was the long answer to the question I asked earlier on in the video. Is it worth it to play DC Universe Online in 2024? Again, the answer is yes, absolutely.